What's up guys, James here from Boot Wizard Boot Reviews, and you may have noticed that my setup is a little bit different today, and that's because we're trying something completely new. And not only that, I am joined by a very special guest, the behind the scenes Boot Wizard collaborator and often distribution center for the entire channel. I'm joined by Luke. He's over in the UK and this is his first appearance on the channel. Luke, how are we doing?
Hey James, thanks for having me. Always a dream to be on the Boot Wizard channel, finally.
We've been trying to do this for about a year and a half, which is how long I've been running the channel for. Luke genuinely helps out with pretty much every video, and all the boots that come in to the channel basically come through Luke's hands first, both for quality checks and also so that I can get stuff from the UK to Denmark, which is actually very hard. So I do appreciate that. Damn it, eBay, ship internationally. What Luke and I are going to do today, which you may have noticed from the screen here, is we are going to do a classic YouTube tiers list. So these are huge right now. We thought it'd be fun to do. So we are going to rank every single Adidas Predator generation. So not individual colors, we're not including limited editions, remakes, or SL models. This is just the mainline boot. So there's 17 different iterations of the Adidas Predator, and we will be ranking them. We will be ranking them from the very, very top, the best possible Predator, which is golden balls, all the way down to the worst possible Predator, which is headbutt to the chest. So if you know, you know. So without further ado, do remember to like this video, get subscribed to the channel, and drop down in the comments and let Luke and I know if you enjoyed the tiered video and what you want to see us rank next, because we would definitely love to do this some more. I have definitely spoken enough, so we are going to start with the original Adidas Predator from 1994. Of course, we're going to do this in chronological order. Luke, 94 Predator, where is it? Is it golden balls, amazing, meh, amateur, or is it a headbutt to your chest? Is it that bad?
I think you've got to put it in the golden balls category. I think you've got to look at the fact that it revolutionised the boot market with the cutting edge technology of the rubber fins that were added to the front of the boot.
I think you're probably right. Like, everybody knows the story by now. This was a boot that changed everything because somebody decided that we were going to basically have more grip and movement on the ball if we had rubber fins. So that's Craig Johnston. He's an Australian, and he pitched this idea to Adidas multiple times, eventually got them to pick up the idea by getting Beckenbauer at Bayern Munich to wear these concept boots that he'd drawn up off an initial idea of putting a table tennis bat outer onto a football boot to create more swerve on the ball. The Adidas bought it in the end, and we ended up with the Predator, and it was a huge success. So I have to agree with you, this isn't going to happen every single time, but
That's what you
are
think.
we agreeing that the the 94 Pred belongs in golden balls?
I think so. I think the way that it's revolutionised the market and the way that it brought the Predator, I think it's got to go golden balls.
I agree. 94 Pred, golden balls. We are starting off nice and easy here. Okay, 95 Predator Rapier. Where are you going? What's the plan?
Well, now the Rapier, it catches me in two minds here, because in one sense I'd love to put it in the golden balls category because it brought in that fold over tongue. Everybody knows that the Predator has the fold over tongues, it's got the striking elements on it, that is what the Predator is. But it only got a fold over tongue for the next model. So I think you've got to bring it down a category. I think we've got to go in the amazing.
Okay, so you're saying amazing. So you're absolutely right. There's not a great deal of noticeable or revolutionary change between the two boots. You do get the fold over tongue, which is Predator iconic, and it came in a couple of different colors for the first time. So this came in, I think, red and white. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah, so Luke's a bit of a Pred head. So the red and white. So honestly, like, I agree it doesn't belong in golden balls, but does it even belong in meh? In amazing, sorry, does it belong in meh?
Oh, you're
Because
thinking it's going to belong in meh.
Yeah, like, I'm tempted to put it in meh because it's still an iconic boot. It still offers a lot, but is just introducing a fold over tongue enough to put a boot in amazing.
But fold over tongues and colours, the red added into the black, it's kind of shaping now into what we know and love as a predator.
So you're saying it's influential for the Predator line as a whole, basically?
Yeah, exactly that.
Eh.
Come on, you know you want to fold.
I will give you this one.
Like the tongue.
Hey, how long have you been sitting on that one?
Forever.
So, okay, I will fold like the tongue. That was a terrible joke, and I will accept that we are going to put the rapier into amazing.
Excellent.
I'm going to fold. I'm not going to argue with this on this one. So I know for a fact I'm going to have to argue you on a couple later, and I will call back to this very moment. Believe that. Okay, next up we have the Predator Touch. So this one here. Now, Touch, where does it belong? Like, for me, the Touch is not a boot that we remember fondly, mainly because it gets forgotten about a bit, and because of what came after it, really. So this was a 96 release. Where are you feeling about the Predator Touch?
The Predator Touch, it had some revolutionary features on there still. So they changed from the screw-in studs. They put in those TRX blade types.
Oh, aye, TRX studs. Good point.
Yeah. So obviously that brought the boot on to the next level, really. For me, it was a tricky one. I don't think it's a meh boot, but I also don't really think it's amazing. Thoughts?
Interesting. Okay, my thoughts are this. That you've ruined this now. You've entirely ruined my whole system. Because I think that the tongue belongs in meh, right?
Yeah.
Because as much as it influences Predator, I think it belongs in meh, but I've folded. Fair enough. But if we're putting the tongue and that boot into amazing, then surely the Touch and the introduction of those TRX studs means that that's got to go in amazing as well, because that is also massively influential for the Predator and football boots over a period of time. So if the tongue's going in amazing, then the TRX studs have to go in amazing, and I don't want to put the Touch in amazing. I think it's meh, but you know, I think it has to go in the same category as the rapier. So the rapier either comes down and they both go in meh, or they both have to go in amazing.
Now we'll just put it in amazing. It started to.
Oh, will we? Because you don't want to move that tongue out of amazing. That's why.
Exactly. But it started shaping the boot. So, like, the 3 stripes that we see on this particular boot is what we see very similarly on most other Adidas Predator style boots moving forwards.
It's a good point, especially the newer Predator 20 range. Those 3 stripes on the very front of the boot, they are slightly reminiscent of what you get here.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'm gonna put it in amazing, but I'm still like, I feel like you've got two here, because you've managed to force me into putting the tongue in amazing, which has then in turn forced my hand by putting. This is some kind of giant conspiracy theory. I'm not okay with this.
Basically, looking to get as many Preds as I can in the high categories. Simple.
Yeah, Luke, right, okay, you have to understand this. Luke and I were both Pred kids. Like, we both wore Predators. We basically didn't pick up anything else. I remember once that we went into a store. We both tried on a pair of Mercurial Vapors. Vapor 1s, I believe. Tried them on. Had them on our feet for about 8 seconds, took them off, and decided we were never ever buying Mercurials ever, and immediately went and looked at the Predators.
Yep.
It was just our boot. That has somewhat maintained for Luke over time, and he has a deep, affectionate love for the Predator. Whereas
most Predators.
I do for some. Most Predators, fair enough. I do for some, but not all. Anyway, let's move on to the Predator Accelerator. I think this is an easy one. Where are you going to put the Accelerator?
The Accelerator... Well, I'm going to let you take the lead on this one. Go on, you tell me.
Okay, I think purely based on the design alone, and then like its status in pop culture to a degree, with like Zidane wearing it in the World Cup final, the introduction of that electricity yellow color. I think there's nowhere that the Accelerator can be apart from up in Golden Balls. I think this is one of the best Predators ever made. There's a reason that they're remaking this, that people still want this. Yeah, the Accelerator is Golden Balls.
Yeah, for sure. Iconic boot, it's got to be up there.
Awesome. That's nice and easy. So Accelerator from 98 in World Cup, up in there. Okay, next up, Precision. So Precision is a boot that I think we both hold quite dearly, quite fondly, because we're both English. And David Beckham did some wonderful things while wearing this boot.
Yes, he did.
So the white Beckham Precision that they've just done a remake of will be forever associated with Beckham scoring what is regarded as that free kick when playing against Greece. But does the boot as a whole really deserve to be up in that kind of Golden Balls category? So, Precision from, what's the Precision? 2000 Precision. Luke, tell me. Where are you putting it?
Oddly enough, I'm going to shoot for the amazing category.
Okay, shoot. Why are we not feeling like it's Golden Balls for the wonderful David Beckham Golden Balls himself?
Well, basically, I can't put every boot in Golden Balls. The striking element obviously got a revamp as well, mainly just being on the instep of the foot, that David Beckham free kick element zone, if you like. But I want to say Golden Balls, it's got to be really up there for a Golden Balls boot, and I don't think that this was quite there.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that there's got to be something extra special in the boot. You got the replaceable TRX studs that were introduced on this boot. So there is some like elements of technology and advancement. And like you say, that changing of the of kind of the pads to be those three kind of striking element pads that run down the boot on the Precision.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think amazing is fair. I think that's the first one where we've probably upset some people, because I know that that's some people's favorite Predator. I think it depends how old you are, to be honest. But yes, I'm happy to put that in amazing. So the next one is the Predator Mania from 2002. Do we just want to put this in Golden Balls and
Let's
move on to
just
the
not
next?
even discuss it. Let's just put it in Golden Balls and away we go.
So again, a little bit of background. Luke and I both had Predators. I had the black one, which is the launch colorway, the black, white, red. Luke had the champagne colorway one. Both just amazing. You get the strap on the tongue. There's the champagne colorway. There's the Japan blue colorway. Released for the World Cup. These are, in my opinion, the best looking Predators ever made, and at the time were my favorite boots. I could probably say they're my favorite boots, but I think if I put a pair back on now, I probably would be less impressed. What about you?
I would still absolutely love these boots. I would still love to wear these boots. I'm gutted that my original pair of these boots fell to pieces and I can no longer wear them and no longer have them. But yeah, these boots, fantastic. The striking element, the champagne colourway with the red tongues, obviously Beckham wearing them, iconic. The first Predator, I believe, to put a reinforced heel in there.
Yeah, the external heel counter, yeah.
So still adding things as they went, but yeah, they've got to be up there. They're basically the most iconic Predator that's on the market. Was on the market, that is around. Yeah,
a little bit tighter fit, a little bit slimmer profile, and as of the Predators that we've come across so far, I would say the best performing one as well, although I'm sure some people would argue with me about maybe the Accelerator. Okay, right, so moving on, we are going to the Predator Pulse. So we're starting to move away from the boots that would be considered classic Predators, that they're getting remakes and things like that, and we're moving into that kind of mid-range of Predators, that mid-era where they're still very much got Predator vibes, but they're starting to change. Well, not even change, but just they don't have that iconic status, I suppose. So Predator Pulse, 2004. What are your thoughts?
Mixed with this one, to be fair. I'm kind of in the meh category for these.
Okay.
But as with everything, I'd quite like to put them in the amazing category because they're a Predator.
Okay. So the big thing on the pulse was obviously that power pulse system. The idea that you put extra weight in the front of the boot, in the toe box of the boot, so that as you struck the ball and you transferred weight, there was more weight behind your shot, so that it would actually hit the ball harder. Which is a really weird technology in 2020. You imagine actually adding weight to boots in 2020, like, just that would be crazy. Like, nobody would be down for that. So yeah, you got that system. And it was kind of a slightly modified Predator, I suppose. Sorry, Mania. It is a Predator. A slightly modified Mania, like a little bit updated. I love the way the stripes run on the bottom from a looks point of view. And they do obviously they got that Yin Yang box set for Beckham, which is very special. I always remember Zidane throwing up in the Champions League final wearing them.
A classic section.
So, yeah. You see... Yeah, where did you want to put this?
When I was thinking about this, naturally I put it in amazing, because it's still got the Predator vibes, and it's still the Predator's still rolling at this point for me in Adidas, and the way that they're marketing it and everything else. It's before the downturn of the Predator, in my opinion, so I still think amazing, but things are starting to shift slightly.
Okay, I'll go with you. Amazing is fair. I will put the pulse in amazing.
Okay.
Let's slide that one up there. So next up, 2006, we have the Predator Absolute. So this is a boot that personally I'm not a particularly big fan of. This, of the Predators that kind of were with tongues and stuff, this is probably one of my least favorites. I would like to point out that Luke's completely ruined the continuity of our video by deciding he wanted a little wardrobe change mid video. Anne Hathaway over there at the Oscars, what are you thinking about the Predator Absolute? And would you like to tell us about your lovely new shirt? I
mean, first of all, it's a Lingby shirt, so you should be happy.
I'm very happy.
And secondly, for the boot, still got a fold-over tongue, so obviously I still love it because I love every Predator that has a fold-over tongue. And every Predator with a fold-over tongue should go really in the amazing category, and it's obviously got the striking element still, but I do agree that this one kind of blends into the background, really. It's not many people's favourite version of the Predator.
No, not at all. And like the big thing that they kind of changed here is obviously there's kind of an evolution of the striking element every time, and here you've got the interchangeable insoles. So instead of just having that one weighted insole for the technology, you have two, so you can take them out of the power pulse system. So you can have the one that has the weight and the one that doesn't have the weight, which isn't that exciting, really, is it?
No, not really. There wasn't really much in the way of developments as far as this boot goes.
Yeah, so I don't love it, and honestly, I am because in that amazing category we have things like the accelerator and the pulse. I don't think this can go in the same category as those boots. I don't think it's on the same level, and I think it has to find its way into meh.
And I'm going to agree with you, which shocks me and hurts me because it's got a lovely fold-over tongue. But yes, let's go with meh.
Oh, that shocks me. I thought you were going to fight me some more on that one. There we go. Okay, moving on. Next up, 2007, we have the Predator Power Swerve. So the Power Swerve is probably my favorite old school Predator to wear. I think it fit really well. I think the touch was great. I think some of the modifications were fantastic. I really like that striking element on the Power Swerve. So was it smart foam striking element?
Yeah, that's correct.
So instead of like the rubber, it's smart foam. You have a Power Swerve, right? You've got one there?
Right here. Let me try and grab it without breaking all of my boots. Okay, Power Swerve.
So that's the Confederations Cup Power Swerve, is that right?
With mud on the bottom from last time I played in it.
It's good to see they're still getting used.
Oh yeah, for sure. Rare uses, but you know. So this is the striking element that James was talking about. So you've got the additional section up at the top here, as well as the bits that we were used to as this model of the Predator came out, moving down the boot.
Nice. Okay, so Power Swerve, Zidane had a hand in designing it. They threw out all kinds of facts and figures about it giving you like 8% more swerve and things like that, which were scientifically proven. I don't believe them for a second.
Well, I mean, Zidane designed it, but he also tested it. So those facts and figures must have come from Zidane. And if you want to argue it's easy, you go for it.
I refute that. So, because we don't want to argue with Zidane, I think this boot for me, in terms of its pure performance and the fact that it looks like a Predator, is a Golden Balls boot.
Oh no, I did not think you were going to say that.
But I accept you cannot put this boot in the same category as a Rapier, an Accelerator, and a Mania. So I think it belongs in Amazing, and this is where you've ruined my system again, because I think this is better. I think this is better than what you're going to get from the Pulse, for example. And also from the Touch. So I wanted this to be an Amazing and those boots not to be there because I think it's better. It's like Amazing Plus now. It's better than the Pulse, but I will concede Amazing because I think putting it in Golden Balls is too far.
Ooh, risky business. Personally, I would have put it in Golden Balls because I think this boot is still way up there. But I can't ask you to put everything where I want to go, so I will allow this to go in Amazing.
Now you see, you've given me the option to put it in Golden Balls here, and it's my favorite. It's one of my favorite Predators ever. Like personally, this would go in Golden Balls.
Well, personally for me, it would as well.
Okay. All right. This is the question: is this boot on the same level as the original Predator, the Accelerator, and the Mania? If it is, it can go in Golden Balls. If it's not, we have to concede that despite our personal love for the Power Swerve, it has to go in Amazing.
I mean, they did new things with this boot. They gave it extra power, extra swerve. They gave it the smartphone. It's not like it was a standing in the line version of a Predator. They did develop it as a boot goes.
Okay, considering that things are about to take a drastic downturn, and I want to be happy, I am going to put the Power Swerve in Golden Balls, but tentatively because you know what I'm going to do, right? This is what we're going to do. We're going to put the Power Swerve at the bottom end of Golden Balls. So we're going to use this line for Golden Balls, and we're going to have it as like a little mini ranking within a ranking. So to do that, I'm going to put the Precision up the top of Amazing, and then I'm going to follow it with... What do you want next? The Pulse or the Rapier?
Pulse.
Pulse, Rapier, Touch, yeah?
Yeah.
Perfect. All right, there we go. Now we have a little mini ranking within a ranking. So this is kind of in between Golden Balls and Amazing. I think that's completely fair. Okay. I think we've just convoluted our own system. All right. Next up, 2009, we all bow our heads and we say a prayer and we mourn what I believe to be the death of the Predator. The Predator continued for many years after this before Adidas killed it off and brought it back again with the 18 in 2017. But the X for me is the death of the Predator. This is where the Predator went off the rails and we got something that people didn't like, and it's the boot that caused people to lose faith in the Predator line. Do I sound like I'm being super harsh on this boot? Yes, I do. Do I care? No, I don't. I hate this boot. Luke, thoughts on the Predator X, and where are we putting it?
This boot is definitely the downturn of the Predator. It is one of the worst Predators that they ever did. Is it even a Predator? Let's be honest.
Is it even a Predator? Ooh.
When I saw this come out, this was when I was like, what are Adidas doing? Adidas are completely off the rails. Who have they put in charge? What is going on? I would put this very, very low down. How low? What are you thinking?
Honestly, like... I think one of the things that really bugged me about this boot was the touch on the instep of the ball. It felt awful. It didn't feel like a Predator. That element was shocking. I don't mind the looks too much, but of course it doesn't have the tongue, which is iconic. It is Predator. For me, this boot and its contribution to the downturn of the Predator means that there's only one place it can go, and I want to headbutt it in the chest. This is a headbutt to the chest boot, and that's what's going to happen.
Yeah, this boot, I remember seeing it for the first time, how disappointed I was. I wanted to headbutt the boot, yeah, put it in that.
Yeah, I've already put it there. It's there. Okay, Predator X there. Moving on to 2011, where football shirts magically change from one Danish team to another, and my continuity is ruined for a second time. And we move to also probably something I have claimed many times is the best performing Adidas Predator. Now, this isn't, I don't claim it to be the best Predator when you take into account the looks and all these like things that you define a Predator by. But the Addy Power, for me, is the best performing Predator ever, and therefore I think this belongs very, very high on this list. 1 second, I have my SLs here.
You're incorrect.
So we're not talking about the SL, but I do have the SL just here. So we're not actually talking about this boot in particular. We're not including SL models. This was a completely different upper, and it was a much lighter boot than the original Addy Power, but this is the version that I have. Yeah, the fit in this boot was phenomenal. The power spine technology, kind of the exact opposite of what the Evo Power was doing at the time, still with like a TRX outsole. This is one of my favorite outsoles that Adidas have ever come out with, and while I do like the new one on the new Predator, I think if you whack this on any current modern day Adidas lineup, it would be perfectly acceptable. Even better than that, it would be a fantastic outsole with the sprint frame on it. The touch was amazing. Like, they did move that striking element way out of the way to the point where it's barely a striking element, but that fixed the problem with the X, where there was just that horrible plasticky sensation on the inside of the boot. In case nobody's picked up on it, I really like this boot.
And I really do not like this boot. So, this boot, the striking elements are in completely the wrong place. Yes, they've called it a Predator, but it doesn't have a tongue. The striking elements, whilst they are there, as I said, they're not in the right place, so it's kind of pointless in being there. Mm-hmm. I agree with you that some of the technology that they put into it, like the comfort and the sole and things like that, are very good, but I just don't think it belongs that high when you compare it to other Predators that we've come down the line of. It doesn't look like a Predator.
It does not look like a Predator. You're absolutely right. That is true. However, it's just so good. Like, it's such a good boot. Right. I'm going to say what I'm going to put it. You can say where you would put it. And we will see if we can come to an agreement. So I'm in the same boat as I was with the Power Swerve. I don't think it belongs in Golden Balls because there's too many other boots up there that are more iconic than the Addy Power is. So for me, it goes in amazing. That's my call for the Addy Power.
For me, it goes in the amateur category.
Oh my word!
I knew you were going to say that.
We're about to fall out.
It is not good enough to be in the amazing category. I will allow it to go up and go in the meh category because you've given me a little bit of free reign on some of the other boots.
Wow, I cannot believe.
Look at the disappointment. Look at the disappointment on him.
I'm just going to leave.
Okay. If he could reach me right now, he would be hitting me in the head.
Throwing an Addy Power at your head. It's a shame they're not heavier. Okay. How about... I can't let this boot go in meh. I just can't. Meh is just meh.
It can be top of the meh. It's top of the meh. It's
how about bottom of the amazing? Like the last boot in the amazing category.
It makes me uncomfortable to put it there. But... Okay. Because you gave me some, I'll give a little bit. It does have good elements in it. It has things that I like in it, so that it's not like some of the other Predators that are woeful. It has some good elements in there. They have at least put some good things in there. So yeah, we can put it bottom end if you like.
It's the very last boot in Amazing. That still hurts me, to be honest, but it is the very bottom boot in Amazing, purely based on performance. I admit that it's not the most Predator-looking or feeling Predator you're ever going to have, but the touch, the feel, the fit, the outsole, it's a phenomenal boot. So, yes, it goes in Amazing, and I will now not complain about what you did earlier. Okay, so next up, Predator LZ1. So this is a boot that this is very much away from the Predator, isn't it? This is moving in a direction that's kind of been forced by by Nike's move into control boots, that becoming the big thing, Adidas having to respond. The power boot is dying, and while the Predator is there and kind of being called a power boot, they're moving it towards that control boot feel due to the CTR line, and we end up with the LZ1. So it's synthetic upper, still has striking elements, no tongue, very lightweight, and a modification of the F50 frame. It's not very Predator, but kind of revisionist history. It's not an awful boot, but where does it belong?
No.
What are you thinking?
It's not an awful boot. It's got the striking elements round the front of it, and they're not in a stupid place. They have put them on the outside of the boot. They've put them on the inside. You know, you've got your sweet spots for the striking elements. They've taken some good features like the sole off the F50 and put it into there. Made that lighter boot to really try and compete with Nike. So you can see that Adidas are trying to move somewhere, because they'd lost their way and Nike went way out in front at this particular time. I think that this boot should probably be in the amateur category.
Amateur.
What do you think?
I think that looking back at it, it's not awful. I didn't like the fit for me. Didn't really work, and the problem was it came after the Adi Power, and the Adi Power obviously we've seen is a boot that I love so much, and this just didn't fit as well. It seemed to have a couple of issues. But again, this is kind of because I know what's obviously coming up, and I feel like there's other boots that need to go lower than this one. So
you've got to be strategic with this particular boot placement. Yeah,
so I kind of feel like the bottom end of meh is where I'd put it.
Okay.
How do you feel about that?
I could deal with that.
I tell you what,
I can deal with that.
Let's put it at the bottom end of meh and see how it plays out, and we can always move it into amateur if we think that's the right thing to do.
Okay.
But I think meh is probably fair. I don't think it's not actually that bad of a football boot. It's just not a boot that I didn't particularly like.
They did put some good things in there. Like, you know, they obviously, that was the start of putting the Me Coach in there.
Yes,
which nobody ever used. But,
yeah, nobody used that. But it's something extra. And the striking elements were actually quite grippy. Like they're as like a rubber.
They
just
were
top.
Considering, yeah.
So that's pretty good. All right, let's move on to we basically now got an update on that boot, and we got the LZ2. So it's a very, very similar boot, and basically the change is that there's a change in the rubber elements on top, which for me just made the boot worse because it's now a much stiffer upper, and the touch on the ball is much worse. And this is why I wanted the LZ1 in meh, because I feel like the LZ2 belongs in amateur.
I have an LZ2 here, right?
Oh, you do have an LZ2, and I have an LZ1. Hold on, let me.
Oh,
here we go. There's my LZ1. So this is launch colorway LZ1. So interestingly, the LZ was the first boot not to be released as a launch in red, black, and white. And again, no leather upper either. So this was a big step away. Really upset Predator fans. But looking back, it's not a terrible boot. But yeah, so LZ1. I have LZ1. You have LZ2. What are your thoughts on this delightful LZ2? Where would you put it?
The LZ2. Oddly, actually, I didn't mind that much.
Okay.
I quite liked the fact that they'd moved some of the striking elements and where they'd put them, the placement on the insole and things like that. I thought they did some alright things with this.
Yeah.
But I still didn't think that it was right up there. It's still, for me, kind of meh, bottom end. Like you say, it did make it a bit stiff with the striking elements.
Okay, so are we gonna put it the bottom end of meh, so worse than the LZ1 but on the same level, or are we gonna put it down in amateur?
I am gonna put it, in my opinion, bottom end of meh.
That's probably fair. It is a worse boot than the LZ1, but they are also very similar boots, so to put them separate by that much might be too harsh. So let's put it at the bottom end of meh, right down the bottom there. Yeah.
And in true boot wizard style, there it went.
If you've ever watched my channel, I do a lot of throwing boots. Some people find it entertaining, and it causes some people to lose their minds that I've just thrown boots across the room. Although, what nobody sees is that across the room is actually onto a giant soft bed. So I'm not doing any I'm not doing any damage to any boots, I promise you. Okay, so let's move on to a boot that, again, gets a lot of stick for being the death of the Predator, because it was the last one before they killed it in 2014. So before the Adidas killed the line off after this boot, it was gone. They brought in the Ace line, and then they brought the Predator back at the end of 2017 with the Predator 18. So this gets a lot of stick for being the death of the Predator. But I think that's highly unfair, because I think that was the X, and I think the Instinct is actually a decent boot. Particularly because of the striking elements. I think the striking elements on the Instinct were at the time the best striking elements that we'd had on a Predator, in terms of just that grippy feeling and the fact and whether they actually did anything. I don't feel like precision and things like that did much, but I think that they did help on the Instinct. So I will say that I think it has to go higher than the LZs for sure. But how high it goes, what do you think?
So I was not a big fan of the Predator Instinct.
Yes, I
did not like it at all. I will let you guess where I thought that it should go, but I mean, they did some alright stuff. They tried to keep the weight down in this particular boot, but for me, the passing pad on the inside of the foot and things like that, it didn't work as a boot for me.
Okay, so the Instinct I do have, and I have it in the Battle Pack colorway from the World Cup, but it's in the very bottom box behind me, and I can't get it out. So, yeah, I'll put up an image or something. I'm assuming that you thought that the Instinct should go in amateur. That's your thoughts on that matter?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think it belongs... Honestly, I would have this at the very top end of meh. So I would have this above the Absolute, the LZ1, and the LZ2. That would be my placement for the Instinct, because it's not, it does lack those Predator feels, but I think it's a very good boot. I think it's better than all of those three, because I dislike the Absolute, but you're definitely not going to let me put it above a Predator with a tongue, are you?
No, absolutely not. It's a good try. I can see your argument for middle of meh. It's definitely better than maybe the LZ2?
Okay, alright, let's split the difference. I'm saying above both LZs, and I'm conceding you're not going to let me put it above the Absolute. So why don't we split the difference and stick it in between the LZ1 and the LZ2, even though I think it should be higher, you think it should be lower.
Yeah, let's do that.
Cool.
Otherwise, we'll be here all day.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, so that one's right in the middle there. So, Adidas killed the Predator after the Instinct. We get the Ace line for a little while, which wasn't a bad line of boots, but the Predator, the name holds weight. It's like the Mercurial for Nike. It means something. So, we got in the back end of 2017, the Predator 18 Plus, and I have the 18.1 here. So, they went mid-cut, they went knit, they went laceless with the Plus model, and I'm fairly sure that Luke has some fairly strong opinions in his newly changed shirt.
Yep. So this is definitely not a Predator. Basically, in my opinion, I think Adidas their boots were kind of wailing a little bit, and they wanted to bring something back to try and boost their sales, and they went with, let's bring back the name of a predator without actually bringing back a predator. It's not got any striking elements. The control skin on the top, the little sort of fin sections.
Ridges, I suppose, yeah.
I'll give you ridges, yeah. They're not anything like what we'd seen before in a predator. Obviously, there's still no tongue on there, which they went laceless and into the prime knit sort of things, but it's not a predator. Adidas just brought the name back and slapped it on there.
That's probably fair. The Predator 18 is fundamentally the next logical step from the Pure Control 16 Plus. You could have called this a Pure Control, and so 17. You could have called this a Pure Control, and nobody would have really known the difference. They just brought Predator back because it's Predator and it's a big marketing campaign. That being said, it's not a bad boot. It did all right in terms of the knit and the touch and feel on the ball. I don't really have a problem there. Oh,
but how much different is it to this boot? How much different is it? It's got some
much
nice
better.
little ridges in the front.
It is much better. It is a better, but especially the laceless version. The laceless
most
version
things
is
are better
so
than
much better.
but from a styling point of view and what they've done, is it that much different to this boot?
Yeah, fair enough. It's not. It is. It's a Predator name It's a Predator in name and not in a lot else.
Exactly
to be honest, but it is a reasonable boot. So we definitely can't go any higher than meh. I don't think it belongs. I don't think it deserves a headbutt to the chest. I don't think it's that bad. So is it? Like, I feel like as a boot, it's probably better than the LZ2, but it's also a bit of a kick in the teeth for anybody who is a real Predator fan, I suppose. Even taking the performance away. Amateur boot. Definitely. I'm very undecided, but I'll go with you on this. I'll let you drop that one into amateur because, yeah, I'm also looking at this in 2020 as well, and the more I look back at this boot, the more it has felt dated to me. So with the advancements in knit technologies and things like that, I really feel like the Predator kind of got left behind. It has a lovely touch on the ball. The fit's really nice. It's not a bad performing boot, but I do feel like as knit's gone forward, this does feel like it's been left behind a little bit. So, okay, amateur. I don't have any strong feelings on this boot, which I think is part of the problem.
I feel like you might have strong feelings on the next boot.
Whatever gave you that idea? If anybody saw my review on the next boot, so this boot came out the back end of 2018. It's the Predator 19, the 19 Plus, and the 19.1. Hold on. So this is my Predator 19 Plus. So I got the Beckham Zidane pack because I love David Beckham. We all love David Beckham.
Who doesn't?
I didn't buy the accelerator, but this was like my way of getting a boot in that pack. So I got the gold ones, which maybe not the best looking, but they've got David Beckham's initials on, and I'm so easily sold. If you've seen any of my reviews and my videos on this boot, I basically stand there, hold up a Predator 18, and shout "It's the same" down the camera really loud. So
it's not 100% the same.
Okay, it's a little bit heavier. Because they changed the prime knit slightly, and it has a fin on the back because, you know, when you back heel the ball, you need extra swerve, bend, and control on your shots. It did higher the feeling of the external heel counter a little bit late. It's pointless. It's a pointless boot with a pointless release that changed nothing. It means nothing, and it angered me for an entire year. Every time somebody says Predator 19, I'm like, just buy the 18. It's the same boot and it's much cheaper. Because the 19 came out, the price of the 18 went down because it was old model. So why would you buy this? I bought this, but why would you buy this? It's such a stupid thing. I hate when companies release a brand new boot, which is basically exactly the same as the old boot. Like, you've got to do enough to at least get a pass. The X did enough to get a pass from 18 to 19. The Vision just did enough from the 1 to the 2 to get a pass, but it's still, I don't like that you have to get this 12-year annual cycle of boots coming out, and it doesn't matter whether the boot is better or not. It just has to be something new to build hype, to get people to go out and buy your product. And for that reason, and many others, my pure anger at the release of this boot, Predator or not, I don't care what this boot is. The fact it's so similar to the 18, this boot, it's gone. This boot is a headbutt to my chest, to my sanity, and to my channel.
Okay, to bring back some kind of order to this, let's calm you down, and perhaps we'll just pop it in the headbutt to the chest, say no more about it, and you can take some nice deep breaths whilst we move on to the 20 line.
I'm just going to pop it in there, and we'll move on, shall we?
Yeah.
I think. Shall I let you start with the 20, because that's your most recent purchase, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. So I have my 20s here. It says destroying the place. Cool. So these come out very recently. Low cuts. Yeah, I have the low cuts. So it's the 20.1 here. I actually really like these boots. In the low cut, I think that the mid cut and the high cut aren't the best boots, although they have less of a fit problem. These low cuts have a massive fit problem. As you can see by mine, are still stuffed with a pair of socks trying to stretch them. They've been in there for 3 weeks. They're just about fitting my feet now without causing me to get dead feet. From a length point of view, these are brilliant, but from a width point of view, as James said in his initial reviews of them, they're woeful in that. But back to why these are actually good. The demon skin. That is a fantastic element that Adidas have put onto these boots. I very, very, very much love that demon skin. Thoughts, James?
Yeah, so Luke kind of covered my major gripe with the Predator 20 line. So we are talking about the Plus and the 0.1 here. They're very different, much more different than the 18 and 19 Plus and 0.1 were. They were fundamentally very similar boots with very similar touch and feel on the ball, but one had laces, one didn't. So the 0.1 lace model tended to be better just because it gave you better lockdown. These are actually constructed out of completely different materials. This is a woven material on the 0.1 and on the 0.1 mid, and you get prime knit on the Plus model with that ridiculously high collar. So you kind of have to view them separately, I suppose. But I had fit problems with the low cuts, especially with the mid cuts. I had huge problems with that. Narrow and tight through the midfoot, too much room in the toe box was my basic thing without getting too wound up again. And then the Plus level
again.
And then the Plus level models seem to have less of those issues, but obviously it has less lockdown and less responsiveness because it's a laceless boot, and that's just what laceless boots do. But I completely agree. The Demon Skin is a fantastic addition, and it's a really effective rubber striking element. It's not going to be for everyone. Yeah, it's not going to be for everyone. A lot of people are going to take some time to get used to it, but you can get used to it. Yeah, like it's Adidas moving towards providing us with a modern day Predator. I don't think we're ever going to get a tongue back because it's just not logical to boot evolution and how we've gone. But I think this is getting there. This is Adidas taking steps in the right direction. So from a Predator point of view, and what we expect and want from a Predator, I think it has to go higher than the 18 and the 19. And once you have broken this boot in, which as Luke said, has taken him 3 weeks wearing it around the house, stuffing it with socks, trying to get it to break into his foot, which I think is a huge problem with the 0.1 models. The Plus is prime knit and it molds much faster. So I think it can go above those for performance reasons as well. If you take away the fit issues, it's probably better than the LZ2, the LZ1. Like, it's a good boot that I don't like wearing. I'm trying to be super objective here because I don't particularly love this boot, but it has a lot of very good qualities. But the fit issue really throws me off. It took me so long to break in my mid-cut version. Like, does this belong right at the top end of meh, or is that too high?
See, for me, yes, the fit issue is obviously a massive issue. On a boot that is this much money, you cannot expect to not take it out of the box, put it on your feet, and it to be relatively comfortable. Yes, all boots need to be worn in slightly, but this should be way more comfortable. The fit issues are a massive down on this. But it's the first boot, I think, with a Predator name since the Power Swerve that I think most people will have looked at and thought, as a Predator, I want it. The fact that they've quickly released the red and black colourway for the launch, then they came out with the full black, then they've brought out the Japan-esque blue, shows that Adidas are really treating this as a return of Predator. And I think that, yes, top end of meh.
Okay. Does it go above the Absolute? So yes. we've got Absolute, LZ1, Instinct, LZ2 at the moment. So we're putting it above the Absolute. See, I don't really like the Absolute, so that doesn't upset me.
I think yes. Technically, I would quite like to put this at the bottom end of Amazing, but I know you won't have it because of the fit issues. But
I will have none of that.
But top end of the meh, I am happy with. Like I say, I very much like this boot. It's a very good boot and shows almost a return to form for Adidas, bringing something to the market of the Predator sort of lines.
Seems fair enough. Okay, I will accept that. Like, I could have put it lower. I definitely couldn't have put it higher, and I'm not too upset by where it is, based on performance and the fact that it is Adidas going in the right way, and like a small child who's done something right, I really want to encourage them. I was like, for the next generation, I'm sure the Predator 21, I imagine will get basically the same boot, and I'll be very mad again. So
it might have a fin on the back.
So what I'm actually looking forward to is the Predator 22, because if they take this concept and they continue to evolve it and they bring it to a point where they fix some of these small issues, I think that could be a very good boot. They have the basis and the idea for something excellent here with a lot of the elements and the demon skin. So yes, top end of meh is fine. So that is it. That is our Predator tier list. We have gone through each generation of Predator. We've ranked it. So most importantly, let us know down in the comments where you would have agreed or disagreed with us. Feel free to jump online. It's tiermaker.com. You can make your own tier here. Send us a link so we can click on your tier and see where you would have put anything. Is there anything in there that you strongly disagree with us on? I think as a whole, I'm fairly happy with that. Like, there's a few I'd change if it was just me, but I'm fairly happy with that. What about you?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks pretty good to me. There's a few in there, as you said, that I might change around slightly, but you know, we've got to come to some middle ground somewhere. But yeah, like James says, put it in the comments. Tell us where you think you would have changed it. Be nice. I love Predators.
But yeah, that is it. Also, let us know what tier list you want to see us do next. We'd love to make some more of these. Get your suggestions in as well. Remember to like this video. It means that we know you enjoyed it and we can then go out and make more. And of course, get subscribed to Boot Wizard. Luke also runs his own YouTube channel, which is Water Wizard. Yes, we are super cool and we have matching YouTube names. So if you want to check out Water Wizard, I will also leave a link on the screen very shortly. But that is all from me over here at Boot Wizard HQ.
That's all from me over here in the UK.
In the UK. Cool. All right. If you want to help the channel out, do head over to patreon.com. But that's all from us here today. Have a good one, and we'll see you soon.